welcome to the Toppers Talk with Ecoholics. I am Asavari and I am with JAMILA, the AIR topper of Indian Economic Service Examination. The UPSC conducts the Indian Economic Service Examination specially to provide a great opportunity to all the postgraduate students of economics. And because it's an economic centric examination, it just gives me immense pride to congratulate firstly Al Jamila on this
Thank you, ma'am.
great success that you have received. And we are going to begin with our podcast. By firstly, I would like you to tell something about how you started with how you're feeling with this success. How did you just start understanding and absorbing that okay, now it's the right time when I can feel the success.
Yes, ma'am, I feel so happy and I'm so grateful and I'm so relieved because this was my first attempt and there were a lot of struggles in between. So I'm very grateful at this point.
Absolutely, and I'm sure that all your family members must be thrilled about this success.
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
So Al Jamila, when we look at this Indian Economic Service examination, it's one of a kind of an exam. Many students even now do not know about how an economics student can level up their career with this exam. So how did you come to know about it, and what were your motivational things where you thought that this examination should be given by me?
Okay. So, ma'am, I decided to study economics when I was in high school, and accordingly, I had chosen my plus one, plus two stream. So I had chosen
Hmm.
commerce mathematics with an intention to study economics and mathematics in my higher secondary education, which is we called class 11 and class 12. So while I
Right.
was studying that, I also had to, since I didn't opt for science and the opportunities are quite less as compared to science and social science, I went through the career options which economics gave. And definitely the Indian Economic Service was the most prestigious examination in the field of economics in India. So I've come across that. However, I was not very serious about my preparation when I came to JNU for my master's.
Hmm.
I got some confidence that, okay, I have come up till here and I come from a village called Nedunkundam in Kottayam district in Kerala.
Hmm.
So I've got some confidence, but in that 2 years, I was focusing on my master's and then I joined for PhD. And eventually I started preparing from March 2024.
Wow. So you mentioned that you also were pursuing PhD, and
Yes,
so
ma'am.
was there anything at the back of your mind that I'm going to pursue IES examination, but if my game plan changes, then maybe I'll pursue research from a great institute or something, or this was something that you had to crack?
Ma'am, actually, I cracked my UGC Junior Research Fellowship in my first attempt, as well as my IIT GATE examination while I was in my second year of master's.
Mm.
So, like at that point, like since I already had JRF, like my
Hmm.
family as well as my teachers, they were encouraging and motivating me to pursue research. And I was
Hmm.
also inspired by a lot of my professors. And at that point, but I always knew that I eventually wanted to take up a career in policy making. But I joined PhD because I felt that I didn't want to have a gap and
Hmm.
also the kind of confidence PhD gives you, the kind of exposure PhD gives you would be also.
Right. Absolutely. In terms of this exam, also, I would like to mention this that many students would, try understanding how research would give them like a boost to crack this examination. And you are one of the very good examples that you aligned your career starting from high school itself to the very last, to doing post graduation and then pursuing PhD in a way that you could attempt all the examinations that you would want in the future to attempt. So, how did this come in your mind that, who inducted you to become so wise from the very starting? In 17, 18 years, nobody is that wise. Most of the students are not. So, I would
Definitely,
like to
ma'am.
know.
Ma'am, I owe everything to my mother. My mother is a single mother.
Mhm.
So I owe everything to her. It is her vision and her passion which has inspired me. And also at a very young age, I was quite interested into public speaking. I was interested into a wide reading. So as compared to most of my classmates in school, I used to read a lot and I love to explore things. So I eventually got hooked up to this economics as a discipline. Yeah. So
That's
I was
so
not
good.
at that point, I didn't know about IES or anything at that point. Like I didn't know that I should give this exam, but I knew that this is what I wanted to study. That
Hmm.
part was clear in my mind. But
Hmm.
the clarity and the confidence which I had at that point, I owe it to my mother, man.
Wow, I would like to congratulate your mother because of her wishful thinking and because of her strategic thinking, I believe you have reached where you have reached today. So it's amazing.
Sorry, ma'am, your voice got broke at that
Mm,
point.
all right. I'll just repeat myself here. Actually, I was congratulating your mother because see, there's always a dream in the eyes of a parent about their child, but to identify what would be right for them at different junctions of their life is something which is very strategic, and I would like to congratulate your mother
Yes,
on
ma'am.
that.
Had
It's
I
all
had
the
she asked me that
yeah,
you should not study this, you should take up science, then I don't know, my career would have been a different trajectory. So because it's her
yes,
trust, she trusted me wholeheartedly and completely. So this is my gift to her.
absolutely. You're a proud officer now, economic service officer, and the rewards are definitely going to be going to her. So, Jamila, when we talk about this examination, there's a lot of conjecture about um, this should be read, that should be studied, so many books to read, so much of content. Then syllabus is also quite wide, and it's like a never-ending, study. Many times students feel demotivated or defocused. What were your go-tos to understand the examination and stay focused at the same time?
When I started my preparation in March 2024, so I hardly had 2.5 months in my hand. And I was also doing PhD alongside. So time was very limited. So I made sure I didn't waste my time. I
Hmm.
made sure that I utilized my time efficiently and judiciously. The next aspect was that I took a photocopy of the syllabus and I made sure that I was not losing the track. And I got a short list of the syllabus, like, for example, consumer theory and what all dimensions of questions are being asked in consumer theory. For example, the Marshallian demand function and also the Hicksian demand function. So these are like the conventional questions, and for markets, they're very fond of that monopsonistic, the bilateral monopoly. So these are like the questions which we should not skip. So I
Yeah.
kept a track, like coming to the focus part, I kept a track on, like I had a study journal. So I made sure what I have to cover a day. And if I had 10 targets, hardly five or six would be covered, or four or five would be covered. So it was a disappointing journey. But I also took track of what I studied in a day and what I studied in a week. So I can also plan my revision accordingly. So I kept track of it, ma'am. I actually kept track of what I have covered, what I was supposed to cover, vis-a-vis what I already covered, and so what I can revise in the future. And I have accordingly devised my plan. And also, I also enrolled in the Ecoholics test series simultaneously. So my preparation study, uh, it falls simultaneous with the test series schedule also. So I also requested the team to give me like 2 weeks. So the test was supposed to be scheduled on this, for example, if it's on Friday, this Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I requested them, please keep it on next Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I'll give it that time so that I can cover this much syllabus. Because I was covering syllabus plus I was writing test series both at the same time. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. A very interesting thing that you mentioned, I would like to point this out. many students start their journey of preparing this examination maybe 18 months early or 12 months early or maybe 10 months early. They usually think that once they will complete their syllabus, only then they'll start with test
That's
series.
not going to come very soon because the syllabus is that huge. And to be very honest, I was still covering up some topics even the day before my exam. Like
Hmm.
GE focus some topics, I was also going through it, poverty and all these topics. So your syllabus is so huge. You cannot wait for a day until your entire syllabus is covered. So my strategy was that I would first start with GE3 environment. I'll finish it up in 2, 3 days. Then I
Hmm.
took up GE1 micro. So I was good to give like a test in GE1 and GE3 and plus whatever we have studied and known because I'm studying this subject from class 11 onwards. So it's
True.
not like I only have to prepare this in just 2.5 months. There are something which I already have. So my initial
Hmm.
level was this, and on that I was building up in this 2.5 months. Yeah, so I started
Absolutely.
taking up test series in I think in my first or second week of preparation only I took my first full set test of Ecoholics, and accordingly I
Hmm.
have devised my strategy and plan.
Right. You also mentioned that there were days when you could not accomplish as much as you had targeted, and that's a very something that's very natural because whatever we desire, we always target a bit high so that we can achieve at least 90% of that target. That's something that's human tendency, but at the same time, it demotivates also somewhere that there's always a pinch that you could not complete those 7 tasks and the to-do
Yes,
list
ma'am.
was not checked. So what was your idea behind keeping your cool and staying motivated at the same time?
Ma'am, I regularly did workout and
Okay.
I regularly did meditation. I regularly did our prayers.
Mm-hmm.
And apart from that, I used to have a personal journal also. So I just try to do that positive affirmation. I had a very close set of friends who would give me a lot of positive affirmation and they inspired a lot of confidence in me that it is doable, it is doable. So whenever I speak to them, and I had a very close set of friends, man, and they always were like, we are sure, we are confident you will do it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so these were
Those
my
positive vibrations are around you. You feel
Yes,
that, yes,
yes, yes,
good.
yes. So they were like, no, you will do it, you will do it. And also, like, even though it is just a 2.5 months of preparation before mains, as I've already told, whatever I have been through, I already had a PhD coursework, I already had 2 years of masters. So in which I have put my 100%. So I was sure that at some point it would all pay me back. So,
True.
for example, some
True.
points which we write in the exam, we might not have revised it in this 2 or 2.5 months of preparation. It might be there with you for a long time. Like,
Hmm.
yeah.
Staying confident in what you have pursued in the past, and focusing then and adding up on the future is the right kind of strategy. I think you did not just have a strategy to crack the examination, but you
Yes,
also
ma'am.
had sorted out life. That okay, these are the
Yeah,
things that I've done, and I have to be confident that okay, these are the things. Now I have to keep on adding up. You should not
exactly,
be
ma'am.
going back again, opening the same book, reading the same content,
Exactly.
because it is not going
Exactly.
to add up. Very nice, very
Add up.
nice.
And also, ma'am, some of the conversations, even some conversations I have with my friends about this economics in general, or with my supervisor. Sometimes this
Hmm.
will also reflect on your perspective. And when we write an answer, for example, technology, it came in the test series also, like the impact of technology on labor market. So while I was casually discussing it with my PhD supervisor, Professor Sujoy, one day, like long back, like it was during my coursework time. So we used to say
Right.
that it's actually good in one way because there would be a lot of importance given to behavioral skills job and also
Hmm.
non-cognitive skills. These would be given importance because technology cannot replace them. So this is a
Perfect.
point which I did not get from any textbook or any notebook. It is just a casual conversation with my sir. And I think this
Absolutely.
is where perspectives are being built on. So whatever I had been, that helped me in this exam.
Hmm. That's so nice and very insightful. I mean, at you cracking the examination the first attempt, then you cracking the examination at a age where everyone is not that sorted in life, and also thirdly, you insightfully tracing down all the different things that have happened in your life, and adding the value to all of those insightful things in your answers or in your journey somewhere is
Yes,
something
ma'am.
that's very, very good, very good. I mean, I'm
Thank you,
quite
ma'am.
impressed. I'm quite impressed.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
So,
Yeah.
Jamila, I mean, I would like to ask you one thing that when you trace back your journey, are there any moments where you feel that I could have done these things or these aspects, maybe of answer writing or maybe of a certain paper, maybe much better if I would have opted
Mhm.
out for a different strategy?
Ma'am, I haven't felt that for my preparation part, but I
Hmm.
felt in the real examination of General Economics 1, in the real examination hall, I'm saying, I
Yeah.
think I should have gone through the paper, like the entire paper, I should have skimmed it bit and then started with a different section.
Okay.
Then, yeah, so I started with section B, but section B was very difficult. And I think I've spent
Hmm.
a lot of time in figuring out because it was a difficult paper. And but
Yeah.
now I feel okay, I should have started with section C because section C was my strong area. So I should have given more focus on section C than
Hmm.
section B. So in my preparation journey, I don't think I have that much of gaps. I've never felt that. I think whatever I've done is good. But in the real examination for GE1, I have felt this.
Hmm. I think that's a nice point to be added even to all the students who are going to attempt the June attempt
Yes, yes.
in the
So
next
just
year.
in the first 5 minutes just came through, and since it was my first mains also, so I didn't know about these things. So after GE1, I understood, okay, I should first go through the entire paper once and start focusing on the area where I'm best at. So for GE2, G3, GE4, I changed my strategy to this way. I first went through the paper and I think that has reflected on my score also.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, when we talk about the six different papers, and preparation wise, yes, you can prepare for how many months ever you want, but those 3 days are very critical. So, what were the exceptional things that you realized in those 3 days which were life changing for you, or a great like experience for you?
Ma'am, the first aspect is that Ecoholics test has been also done in a similar way. Like it was
Mm.
Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and on the
Yeah.
same pattern. So I've, in a way that the test series have trained me to maintain my energy level for the 3 days. And I've taken 4 full set tests, and they have trained me very well, I felt. The second aspect I would suggest is to make very crisp short notes, like in just one page, if you can summarize or just the keywords, so that you can just skim it before exam or while you're having lunch or while you're having breakfast. So I did this, and I think it helped me because sometimes what happens is the particular topic might be in GE4, but this question can come in GE2. And
Hmm.
similarly, because GE2, G3, GE4, if we see, there are a lot of like questions can be
Interconnections.
interconnections are there. So just a little bit of keywords, for example, agriculture, so technology, what are the main schemes? So just keywords so that you make sure that you write it on the paper if that question comes. So that crisp notes are very important. And third thing is like stay hydrated and hydration is very important, I feel, and do a little bit of deep breathing and all to make yourself feel fresh because particularly we had a 3 hour exam in the morning and we have lunch and immediately after that we are going for the afternoon exam, so a little bit of stretching or a little bit of
Hmm.
meditation or something like that would do good because your brain
Hmm.
has to stay fresh at that point for the
Absolutely.
class
Yeah.
also.
Right, right. Because for you, it's a new paper all in once. So you have to be exactly as fresh as you were the giving the
Yes,
first half of
in
the
the
paper.
morning.
So yeah. Hmm.
Yes, ma'am.
When we talk about this specific the 3 days, um there might be a lot of hustle also during the 2 hours break, and like after the first day was many students called up and they mentioned that first day was very exciting, but during those 2 hours we felt that there's some pressure building on, invisible pressure was building on, because we were looking at each other's faces and it was a bit different. It was not like we realized that it was not that kind of an examination that you usually give. So what was
Mhm.
your experience in those? What did you do in those 2 hours of break specifically? Yes,
Ma'am,
this
after the
is
first exam.
yes, after one of the examination, first paper, GS, and then the 2 hours break that you get. So what
Hmm.
were your techniques that you could? One was of course to stay hydrated and like stay calm and composed. And what were the other things that you did to not get distracted or not talk too much about the examination to others? What were the things that you did?
Ma'am, actually, I stay a bit away from everyone, and I had this one pages I had. So I always had it while I was out of the examination hall. So I was
Hmm.
just reading. So like nobody had come and talked to me. So I was just after my lunch when I go to the exam hall. So I was just revising the last minute bits which I felt I need to look at.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
So my focus was only on the exam. And after GE1 exam, I was a bit upset because I couldn't give my best at GE1 paper,
Hmm.
but I have given my best in all other papers. But
Yeah.
inside, I was just trying to motivate me. Okay, no problem. Even if your score doesn't come as you have expected in GE1, you can still cover it up in the other papers. So now you
True.
don't cry or now you don't get upset for whatever is done. Focus on the other three papers so that you can cover up. So I was just trying to motivate myself during those times. And I
Yeah,
was,
giving yourself the pep talk that okay, no issues.
yeah,
You have
yes, I
four
was like,
other
okay,
papers to
my,
give.
my English went well, my GS went well. Now I'll cover it up in G2, G3, GE4. You have prepared it very well. You just revise it at the last minute. And even if the score gets down in GE1, I will
Yeah.
cover it up in the next three papers. So you have to be very mindful and you have to have a fresh brain and mind for that. So I was just
Mm.
giving myself a lot of confidence in that way.
True, true.
Yeah.
Um, Moving on to the answer writing is done and the days of your exams are done and you're waiting for your results. Okay. Now
Yeah.
what's that what's that time period like? I mean,
So
of
I
course,
was,
it's filled with
yeah,
anxiety,
yeah. Yeah,
but
I had anxiety, but still I was already in PhD program. I was focusing on my PhD work that time. So
yeah, yeah,
yeah,
busy, busy.
yes, I kept myself engaged in my PhD work so that in case
Yeah,
I get an interview call, I
yeah.
was getting done with my synopsis because I'm in my synopsis stage. I have to get my PhD confirmed before December 31st.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought, okay, even in case I get an interview call and I should not mix up two things, so I will finish up my synopsis at this point. So I was
Mm-hmm.
just focusing on my synopsis so that in case I get an interview call, I can focus, like give a little bit more attention to my interview, like more attention to my interview preparation. Yeah. So
Right,
at that
right.
time, I was just like, don't get anxious, don't get sad. I took a 2 weeks break, like 2, 3 weeks break I took after mains. Completely, I
Yeah.
gave myself a break. I didn't work. But after that, I was back into PhD work.
Very good. Keeping yourself busy and engaged, I think it's the best possible thing that one must do so that you do not distract yourself too much, but also do not exhaust yourself too much. So that's
Yes,
good.
ma'am. And my
Moving
entire
on to the,
preparation,
yeah.
my family was also very supportive. So they were like, no,
Hmm.
you will get. We are all praying for you. We are all there for you. So
Yeah.
I think their prayers, like that did wonders.
Answered. I was actually about to ask you the same question that what was the feeling like when you got that interview call and you came to know that yes, now I'm selected. What was the reaction of everyone around you?
Ma'am, my family literally they were crying. Like all my family members were crying because
Huh.
it's the first time someone in our family is cracking a central government, at least the first stage of a central government exam. So
Right.
they're all my mother, my mother's sister, my mother's mother, my mother's brother, everyone. They were so happy. They were crying like in tears.
Overjoyed.
So overjoyed. Yeah, they were crying in joy.
So sweet, so sweet. All their prayers were answered actually.
Definitely, ma'am. Definitely. That boosted my confidence inside the examination hall.
Definitely, definitely. Of course, that's family support and your close one support is something that gives you an inert confidence. You do not need to make that up. So that's
Yes, ma'am.
something that is very refreshing and it's very nice that you have that. Very blessed you are.
Yes, ma'am. Definitely.
So, Jamila, moving to the interview. Now, we know that interview selection has been, shortlisting has been done, and now is the final game changer role that you have to play. So, what were the things that you started preparing for? I also felt that you were very calm and composed even during the mocks. So, I was quite impressed that time also, but I was like, ठीक है, अभी नहीं बोलना है. Don't give that the kala tika
All
laga do.
confidence. Yes, yes.
Yes. But I really liked that personality, because whenever I've been looking at so many candidates in the past, and only a few are really sorted in their minds, and know that, okay, I am going to crack this examination. I have to maintain that humility, but I also should not, overexhaust myself into thinking that, oh my God, what is going to happen? So, what exactly was happening in your brain that time? I want to know that.
Okay. So my first I in my interview preparation, I divided it into different sections. So my first section was a section on DAF, and I prepared a Google Doc with different
Mhm.
titles. So first one is questions from DAF. The next one is questions from Kottayam economy, because I belong to Kottayam district in Kerala. The
Hmm.
next one Kerala economy, and
Yeah.
the other one was India, and then international events, and then my PhD topic. So I divided into these different sections, and I was collecting a pool of questions which can come up from DAF, which can come up from Kottayam, which can come up from Kerala, which can
Yeah.
come from India, international. And I took help from my mock interviews as well as also the current affairs part. And we
Mhm.
had a small group of the candidates who cleared mains, and we used to regularly discuss topics. I think that's very important. And we
Very, yeah.
WhatsApp group, and then we discussed topics and we discussed questions, and we conducted mocks among ourselves also.
Oh,
So
nice.
yeah. And ma'am, another aspect is that what I did is I used to ask question to myself, and then I start answering it, and I capture it in a video so that I can understand.
Ah,
Yeah.
that's
Like,
very nice. Recording yourself, that how
yes,
you
ma'am, I was
actually are
recording.
answering. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it actually helped me, because initially I felt initially I felt I was not having a pleasing face while I was answering. I was very stressed and I looked very sad in my first session of mocks and all. So then I corrected it myself, and I felt that okay, I have to consciously smile while I'm speaking, because that would actually bring more confidence in the way you speak. I should not look stressed. So I was
Yeah,
working
yeah.
on these things. So I think like being critical to yourself is very important in this journey, because at first we all had bad mocks, we all had good mocks, but like what matters is how you learn from those bad mocks and prepare yourself for the good ones.
Right, right. Because ultimately, it's not the mocks, it's the final
Exactly.
interview that is going to
Yes.
matter. So, yes.
Yes.
Um, in even when you went for the interview, how was the environment like? Because the of course UPSC is known for its grilling, but actually the panel is always very cordial. So, how was what was the whole scenario before entering the room and then after exiting the room? What all happened?
Okay, ma'am. The first part was they were document verification, and we had to fill up some forms, and we were
Hmm.
all asked to sit, and they all gave us very good guidance on how to fill. I really appreciate their behavior. They were all very nice and very kind to the students and the candidates. And then we had a turn by turn, and whatever turn is, we had to go and attend the interview. We had to wait outside the room. And I was a bit stressed at that point, but then again, I was doing deep breath, and I was trying to, chant some of our prayers to just reduce my tension and anxiety. But once I was in the hall, they were all very nice. There were four uh, panelists, and they were all very nice, and they were all smiling. And I was also like very de-stressed and very relieved,
Yeah,
because they were all
yeah.
very nice and very welcoming, I felt.
Hmm.
And in my interview, most of the questions came from my PhD topic. So my PhD topic is in the area of behavioral economics, which is a novel
Yes.
area of research. And my exact thesis is about happiness economics. So they were very interested in that. And most of the questions revolved around happiness, like a cross-country comparison. And they gave me some scenarios. They asked me to devise an experiment. So I really liked the entire experience, and I came out really happy. Like it was all the best of all the interviews I have given was the real interview.
Wow, that's so nice to hear.
Yes, ma'am.
Um, because it's, your first type of an interview that you're giving in terms
Yes,
of,
ma'am.
the
Job
the
interview. This was
services.
my first. job. Yeah.
Right. So you did not have any prerequisite, knowledge in terms of what happens. You may be prepared with, okay, what may happen, but exactness is never there. So even you do not know that, okay, if I'm answering this and someone is reacting in some way, what is that reaction like? So are
Mm.
they happy? Are they sad? Why they are
Yeah.
making
Yeah.
those poker faces? All of these
Huh.
things are also something that goes back in our minds. So
Yes. Yes.
did you feel the same thing that I don't know what's happening, but let me answer the questions first.
Yeah, yeah. Ma'am, I was trying because see, they're very senior people and you're
Hmm.
very young as compared to them. So I always believe that that respect should be there. Whatever you say and whatever they say, that respect towards their seniority should be there. So I never try to argue with them. But if they are confused at some stage, I ask them, ma'am, I would like to clarify this point, and I try to give an explanation on that. So they were happy in that.
Okay. So, Jamila, I would like to know, in terms of interview, the final interview, there are a lot of things that happen um, in the whole interview round where you enter the interview the place, and everything is very you are excited also about the interview, and then of course once you exit, then there are a lot of thoughts that come up to you that, okay, how was my interview, what were the panel thinking, what are the, how can you think about, how are the panelists thinking about you, what are the facial expressions that they are making. So, how was your whole experience like in terms of the final interview?
And I really enjoyed that experience. I mean, I was obviously stressed because the first 1 hour was in like document verification, and we had to write some documents, some form filling, and the medical team came and they gave us a document. And we were like, I think around six in that time. Like my interview was in the afternoon time, and around six candidates were there. And I carried like I borrowed the newspaper from one of the fellow candidate, and I was reading because my interview was the second last part. So I was reading newspaper at that time just to kind of, de-stress myself. And then I started walking, and a little bit of stress is very normal, ma'am. Stress is very normal. But once I entered the real room, the real interview room, I think there were four panelists and panel members, and they were all very nice and very cordial, and they all had a very smiling face, and I was also
Hmm.
very relieved, and I was like,
Hmm.
okay, this is like, I'll do it good, don't worry. And I was just trying to motivate myself. And
Hmm.
as far as the questions are concerned, I tried to listen very well to what they're asking because I didn't want to make them also feel confused about my answers. So I listened to them. And for example, one question was to devise an experiment to, because I am working in the area of behavioral economics. So it was a difficult
Yes.
question. So I requested them to give me a little bit time to think about it, and they were happy with it. So they were okay with
Hmm.
it. And then I came up with my answer. So my suggestion would be to listen very carefully what they are asking and what exactly they are asking, and then answer it. And they were very cordial. The panel was very cordial, and they all had a smiling face. So I could not understand anything from their expression because they were all smiling and they were all calm. Yeah. So, but from whatever, but I compared with my own performances before, and I felt I did
Right.
good. Like I did a good job.
Right.
Yes, ma'am.
How important is it to for a candidate to work out on their DAF? Because you mentioned previously that I structured my interview into two parts, three parts, where DAF was one of the prominent points. And then, of course, when we talk about the interview questions, so they asked about your PhD, they asked you about the behavioral economics questions, and everything was like DAF. So,
Yeah.
how would you tell the aspirants now that what's the importance of DAF in the final interview?
Ma'am, I would suggest to not include anything which you do not know. Like include something, include a point if you know completely about it, or if any question
Hmm.
comes up from that, then you should be able to answer it. For example, in my extracurricular and hobbies, I have only kept three because extracurricular I've kept public speaking, and I had achievements part. May I had to I had like achievements to justify that public speaking was an extracurricular activity of mine. The next hobby
Yeah.
I felt was watching Malayalam movies because that's something I do. And if any questions come up, I can answer on that. And the third aspect was reading books in the domain of behavioral economics, because that's where I do my PhD. And I'm uh, I'm like I mean, obviously no one knows completely about anything, but still I am reading on it.
Yeah.
So I think I will be able to answer if at all any questions come up. So it's very
Mm-hmm.
important. DAF is very important. If you have any internship experience, be very well prepared about that if you're keeping it in your DAF. And sometimes, for example, public speaking and essay writing, if I've kept, then I should be also prepared for a question like, how would you help that as an IES? Because in the one of the panel, ma'am, they asked me like, how do you think your PhD in behavioral economics is going to help you as an IES officer? So, like, connect everything, like whatever you have written in your DAF, connect it with your role as an officer. So
Hmm.
this would give you a better insight about it. So I already prepared on how is public speaking going to help me if I come and take up a job as an officer. How is essay writing? What are the qualities that essay writing has inspired in me? So these kind of
Mm-hmm.
questions, like just prepare yourself, just think in their terms. Like, if you are the person who is asking interview, and if like your DAF, someone's DAF is there in your hand, what those questions do you ask? So and prepare
Right.
accordingly.
That's a very interesting preparation strategy. It is very good because ultimately, whenever we think about examination, we always think about our own preparation. But when you go to the, when you are into the shoes of the examiner, you would likely understand that, okay, this is what should be asked, and these are the
Yes,
things
ma'am.
that I would love to hear as answers.
Here,
So
exactly, exactly.
perspective definitely changes, and
Yes.
that kind of a preparation is very vital, very good in terms of that.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
I would also like to so I would like to now play a short game also. It's not like a game, but it's just like a fun thing to do, which would be also very insightful for the audience as well. So because you mentioned initially that you love reading, and you also had mentioned in your DAF as well. So I would like to ask you one book that you would like to refer to students, to aspirants, to economics aspirants, something that was life changing for you through a book.
Um, Ma'am, I was very specific about the domain which I read. Like, I was not a general reader when it comes
Yeah.
to economics books, but I used to read
Yes.
in
Yes.
behavioral economics. But if you're a policy maker, like if you are an aspirant to make policies in
Yes.
future or be part of policy making, from the behavioral economics perspective, there's a book called Inside the Nudge Unit by David Halpern, and in which
Yes.
David Halpern has written like how behavioral insights and behavioral policies were actually utilized to bring
Hmm.
changes and to bring efficient economic policies and efficient economic decisions. So in the realm of
Hmm.
taxation, in the realm of health, in the realm of how nudge has been used, how various instruments are made. So that is one book I can think of at this point. But then again, everyone has a different interest and different
Absolutely.
welcoming because yeah, yes, ma'am. So I
Absolutely.
don't think I would
Absolutely.
suggest this is like a one size fit for all approach. I cannot do that. But personally, for
Yeah.
me, it helped me to get a lot of insights, and particularly because I work in this, my research is also in the area of behavior. So it has helped me
Hmm.
like how you can utilize behavioral change to increase the tax base and reduce the tax evasion or reduce the
Hmm.
accidents. So these are some of the
Yeah.
things because ultimately, when people behave well, then government can also cut a lot of cost out of it. So that
True.
this book has
True.
actually will give you an insight on how it's being done in other countries like UK and US and how well, sometimes we can also get motivated from that.
That's kind of very insightful, actually. And of course, in terms of behavioral economics, which is a very evolving area, domain of economics, microeconomics. So I believe it's something that students can actually give it a read, give it a shot at
Yes,
least,
ma'am.
try
Yeah.
understanding, because it definitely would contain a lot of insightful things that right now in the study curriculum are not there. In the study curriculum, you only study about the theoretical aspects and the application based aspects, but what exactly happens and how it may happen and how it may change the
Yes.
economic conditions is something that can be definitely learned. So yeah, good.
Okay.
um, what's your favorite subject now that you have cracked the examination and everything? So now you can tell very frankly that out of the six papers or out of all the subjects that you've learned in economics, what is one of the favorite subjects of yours?
It would sound contrary, but I'm really fond of macroeconomics.
Oh, that's
Since
nice.
I said, yeah, since I said behavioral and all, but then again, I'm very
Huh.
fond of macro, and I was very
Yeah.
passionate about macro since my undergrad time.
Hmm.
And I covered Freud, the Richard Freund's book, and this
Yeah.
macroeconomics book and all. So I was very
Hmm.
interested in how these different schools of thoughts evolve, and that was very interesting to me, and the
Hmm.
debates
Hmm.
they had. So, and I'm very
Yeah.
thankful to my professors also in that regard. In both, I did my graduation in HCU, Hyderabad Central University, and my master's is from CESP JNU. So they have actually encouraged us to read more, like, have an open mind when it comes to economics.
Open mind. True.
Yeah,
True.
yes, ma'am.
I think your choice is not at all contrary because, see, by 1930s, soon after 1930s, we actually could identify two different streams, like micro and macro, and then other different streams. But if we talk from the point of view of the thoughts and the classical thought, it has never been like, we are studying microeconomics and international economics and this economics and that economics. It
Yes,
was
ma'am.
just economics. So, and that's
Yeah,
why it was very interrelated. Now we have distributed it so that we could make the syllabus and curriculum very easy and very, specific. But if we start linking it to each other, everything is quite connected. So it's great
yes, ma'am.
that apart from behavioral economics, you have a functional
I like
relationship with macro
macro.
also.
Yeah,
Yes.
yes, ma'am.
No, that's good. And also, it's very intelligent choice for policy making career as well, because you have to understand both of the aspects. So
Yes,
definitely.
definitely, ma'am.
Yeah, yeah. Another question that I would like to ask you is micro and macro is something that you like, but what was like the most challenging subject in the Indian Economic Service syllabus for you?
Ma'am, I would say it was the GE4 paper, Indian economy paper, because it's a very dynamic paper. And
Mhm.
also, for example, in micro and all, you study one concept, you get it. But I think in GE4, the complicated aspect is that it's very interconnected. So they can take up, like, for example, poverty and labor. And these two are technically two different units. So you cannot write an answer in a perfect way unless and until you don't cover both of these units. So covering GE4 was a challenging part because it's very dynamic and a lot of current affairs part is there in this GE4 and data points, how to get data points in GE4. So that was a challenging part. And I made sure that I
Mm.
didn't skip any of the topics in GE4. Yeah, because I felt in my initial test, in my mains test series also, I was lagging behind in
Mm.
GE because other topics in
Mm.
one way or the other I did in my master's. But GE4 is very evolving. It's very
Yeah.
dynamic. Yeah, but
Yes.
yeah, so studying that was challenging.
Given the paper that you gave in the 2024 attempt, um, G4 had a lot of questions relating to government schemes and very current dynamics of
Yes, ma'am.
economy. So, what were the sources and what were the insightful things that you read or you thought that should not be skipped at any level, which made your answers better or the final
Ma'am, I
attempt of G4
relied,
better? Yeah.
okay, ma'am, I actually, because economic review, the economic survey was not out at the time of mains.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
there was a document named as Economic Review, which was released by the Department of Economic Affairs, Ministry of Finance in
Mm,
January 2024. So I made sure that
mm,
I went through this document and also the budget so I can get an idea on what is actually being stressed at this point, what is actually the focus of the government at this point. And I was relying on that. And also, I regularly read newspapers. I regularly read
mm,
newspaper because this would give like an idea on what exactly is happening and what exactly are we focusing
True.
on at this point.
True, true.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Um, if we talk about okay, fun part, one myth of Indian Economic Service examination that you would like to break, that you would like to, give a spoiler that that's a myth, it's not true. What would that be?
Ma'am, actually, I'm not an honors student in graduation, and
Yeah.
there was a myth that only honors students can actually get it in one go because I did a normal BA program. We had 10 papers in economics. All my other papers were from other subjects. So when I came to
Yeah.
Delhi, my master's time, some of my DU friends, they always used to say that they started preparing because they all have their honors notes. That's very sorted. So they just have to start preparing. So I was just feeling a bit underconfident at that point. But then again, when I met candidates, I know candidates who are from state universities who are not from that kind of very very fashion type college, like fashion in the sense like the premium colleges. They're from very normal
Right,
colleges.
right. Yeah.
So I think, and also I've met some of the people who have come till the interview are from normal colleges. So the myth is like, you can only do it only if you're from premium places. That is a myth. Like
Yes.
if
If you're
given the
from
right
ABC
guidance.
colleges, then it's very easy for you. Yeah. Complete myth.
Yes, so there's a myth that definitely there that people will have some advantage. I'm not denying it, but I
Yeah.
think that is something which anyone can build on, provided they have the right strategy and the right time. Okay, someone from SRCC or LSR, they might do it in like 2, 3 months, or someone from JNU can do it in 2, 3 months, but someone else might require a little bit more time, but it's not impossible.
Absolutely, absolutely. That I absolutely agree. And I think you broke a lot of myths. I mean, starting the preparation 4 months before the examination, 2.5 months before the examination, going for the test series directly, not worrying about ki syllabus complete hone do pehle. I think many myths you have broken also. So I think that's something that's
Thank you,
very good
ma'am.
and very inspirational for all the candidates out there who are going to try and attempt the June examination as
Thank you,
well.
ma'am. Thank you so much.
Okay, one final last fun question would be what out of there are so many economists that you've studied about and learned, um, who inspires you the most?
Ma'am, at this point, I can only think of my PhD supervisor, Professor Sujoy Chakravarti, because the
Yes.
first reason is that he built my base in microeconomics in my first year of my master's course in JNU, in CESP JNU.
Hmm.
And I
Hmm.
was very scared of quantitative papers. I was very scared that because I did a BA program. So I was very
Hmm.
scared that I won't be able to do this much of quantitative stuffs. I won't be able to do this much of rigorous mathematical stuffs.
Hmm.
But I think his classes it built good base of microeconomics in me. And second thing is it is his course in experimental economics that actually brought developed my interest in behavioral economics, which is eventually I took up in my PhD program and all. And third
Hmm.
aspect
Hmm.
is he was very supportive in my entire journey. And also the conversations we had, the kind of insights that sir has shared. And I think that has contributed significantly in the way I think over the last 2 years. And he encouraged me to read a lot of behavioral economics works and books. So yeah, because had I not been Sir's student, I wouldn't have known about Taylor, or I wouldn't have come across Halpern, or I wouldn't have come across Kahneman's work. So I think it's always better
True.
to seek motivation from someone right in front of you than taking motivation
Absolutely.
from someone whom you just know from books and materials.
That's a very, very good answer, I think, Jamila. Inspiration is the driving force for everyone, each of us. And the closer the inspiration is to us, the better, spectrum, the better dynamics of everything you come across. And not just in economics, I believe in life also. There are so many
Yes,
people
ma'am,
who have come
definitely.
across in your life from whom you have taken direct inspiration and motivation so that you could succeed in life and your success today is actually a testament of all of those insightful inspirations only. So kudos to that. I mean, it's very, very
And
good that you have absorbed all that in and taken the right stride. Very good, very good.
thank you
Again,
so
like I
much,
said,
madam.
very impressed. So, concludingly, I would just like to, ask you, how did Ecoholics help in whatever little ways it could? Every time we look at the candidates and the students, it just feels that it's a new generation, it's a new type of, candidature, new things that we are also learning in terms of how perspectives have changed. What are the things that you all are doing in terms of preparation and cracking the examination? What are the questions and struggles that you are going through? Every time it's a new thing. It's a new experience for even us. And that's why I would like to know, how was your experience with Ecoholics?
Ma'am, definitely workaholics for my mains preparation. Like I wouldn't have done that efficiently had I not joined this institution, but in my mains preparation. The first aspect is I don't know whether you remember, I decided to join to give an attempt, my first attempt on around March 12, 2024. And you have given me a mentorship call that time. Like I've requested for a mentorship call, and you
Mhm.
uh, called and talked to me. Like, and I told, ma'am, it's just 2.5 months more. Like, what should I do? And also, you inspired a lot of confidence in me. You might not have that in your memory for sure, but I remember that call. And then I decided to prepare, uh, so that is the first aspect. And the next aspect is that I'm very thankful for their subject matter expert team, because in WhatsApp we can share a doubt and the doubt gets resolved in like 2, 3 days, like maximum of 2, 3 days, but sometimes it can come much before also. So that was a very innovative way, because most of the times we see that their doubts are not getting resolved in a quicker fashion. But I think this was a very good way. Sometimes I used to send a audio note of the faculty explaining my doubt, and it helped me a lot. To be very honest, it helped me a lot. And the next aspect is that they were also very cooperative. So I used to request them, so please, I want to take my text test next week because I have some more portions to cover. And they're like, okay, you take it next week and you send it to us in the required in the in that possible time period. So I was, and also the other aspect is that there were like a lot of documents, like the RBI official document and also this economic review document. So it was very difficult for me to go through such big documents in such a short span. So I request the subject matter team to, could you please send me a capsule size document in like summarizing the entire thing in a few pages. In 2, 3 days, they were there. And also they've sent me the schemes. So those capsule size booklets are very important, I feel, because you can actually go through the schemes and you can go through it in less time. So if we are doing it by ourselves, and they used to make it very concise, like point by point, so that actually reduce the effort which students have to take, and they can focus on something more, and then they can take value addition from these documents. And also the PYQs books of Ecoholics were also really, really helpful. The previous year question booklets, because sometimes I just went through that at times when I feel, okay, I didn't have time to go through this topic. So I just went through that directly. I went to that question and I read the answer from that part only. And I prepared on that. Yes, ma'am. So yeah, so I'm
I
definitely
think
all
we are
this.
just
My main preparation was like really, really helped by Ecoholics.
I think the whole team of Ecoholics is just basking in the glory of your success in terms of preparation. I think uh, the major role and responsibility of a academics team is to, give whatever is required in terms of a student's requirement. And I'm really glad that you could utilize the content, you could manifest the content in a way where you could use each and everything that was given. You made sure that everything was, whatever was given was read, was dealt with properly. So as a student, you definitely did a brilliant job, and I'm
Thank you, ma'am.
very, very grateful about you cracking the examination, because See, there are so many students who aspire to become and to be at this position, but when it comes from a person who is sincere enough to understand the dynamics of their own life and understand the dynamics of what they are going to cater to, what they're aspiring for is such a prestigious job opportunity that they're going to get. So I think that's something that is completely your success, and
Thank you,
I'm
ma'am.
so happy that I'm going to share this very soon to the students out there, the
Sure,
aspirants
ma'am.
out there. And it's going to be very nice, and I am hopeful that we can connect with you more in terms of you could give some guidance directly to the students
Definitely, ma'am.
out there in the future as well. All the very best to
Thank you,
you
ma'am. Thank you
now
so much.
that you are an Indian Economic Service officer. So, as an economics officer, do a lot of wonderful, things, make great policies, have a great impact in your journey, and make your journey worthwhile. I would just say that.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay, thank you so much, ma'am. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Thank you for joining me, and thank you so much. Bye bye.